Okay, welcome to this Patreon special, which is the review in English language now of the ARMA hobbies or ARMA models Ка-52 KA-52 Alligator. I did the review in Russian because this kit is only available in Russia. Yeah, it's difficult to obtain. There will be ways, I'm sure there's ways you can work out how to get this kit. Anyways, first time this particular helicopter has been produced in 48 scale, in resin, in plastic, in anything. So it's very, very popular here. It took 10 months for me to get my hands on this model from the order date. It took so long because I went to the shop in Moscow and they said that they just had so many orders for it. But also, on the other hand of that, I've only seen a handful of these built in Russia, and I mean very few people have built them. There's an excellent full build by Russian modeler Mikhail's Moments. I've got a link there. He does like everything, full explanations. When I build this, I'm going to just do a music video because that's the way I do my aircraft builds nowadays. That's the way I do it, yeah. But he's got an excellent series of steps, reviews, everything. So the first thing that impressed me actually was the box, yeah, the box, you know, professional, yeah, photographs. It wasn't what I expected. I expected like real sort of garage kit, just a white box or something. Anyways, so inside the actual contents, yeah, bearing in mind everything's 3D printed. Here is the actual, what we call corpus, yeah, the actual main fuselage of the helicopter in a one-piece 3D printed, and all the detail is super fine. I'm going to show you in macro later on to show you how all the details, like, you know, as close as you can get to in scale. It's super fine, finer than anything you'll see in plastic. It looks fantastic. So the initial impressions are superb, but I'm going to talk a little bit also about what I think about 3D printed kits. So this is going to be my second full 3D printed kit. The first one being the build of the Chernobyl demolition radio controlled tractor. Have a look at my channel if you haven't seen that already. Now also, actually, I'll say at this point as well, Patreons are seeing this video a couple of weeks before you guys are, and I wanted to sort of explain a bit about on my Patreon that I've got videos on there basically every week. So where you might see music videos of builds, there's a video basically every week where I explain what I'm doing. And so I decided to do this one to attract new people that might be interested in following along. And we have got a community on there of builders. It's not totally about me, it's about you guys as well. So I've got group builds and stuff going on. Anyways, back to this review. First aircraft kit I'm going to build, fully of resin. And the one thing with resin I would say is that you do need a bit of experience building them, yeah, because you've only got two options when it comes to the actual the method of construction. The usual one is using super glue, and the second one is to use two-part epoxy resins, yeah, to join the parts together. And working with super glue, and I've been doing it many years, I don't find it comfortable. I don't enjoy it that much, to be honest. There's so many advantages of polystyrene plastic models over resin models, but the one thing about 3D printing and previously the poured resin models, it's the mass of detail that you can get on single large parts. So we're looking at some detail here of the interior cabin, and here's one. This is actually part of the inertial navigation system. This is where the gyros are held in, yeah, on the back wall of the cockpit. But look at all the undercut detail. This thing is actually within a container, and if that part was in plastic, you probably need, well, I suppose the minimum would be 3 parts for there. Now, for me, having 3 parts to make up that isn't a big deal. I kind of like gluing plastic to plastic, yeah? But here you get the big parts. You get the detail is incredibly like thin. I'm going to sort of zoom in now just to sort of give you a demonstration of what that stuff looks like. Okay, there we are. We're in the macro now, so I can sort of draw this out. I suppose it shouldn't be a surprise to us nowadays, but with this detail, of course, you need to be very, very careful with the construction. Yeah, it makes the model process, the model building process, will require extra care so that you don't damage the parts, as will the handling of the model when you're doing the painting. So that's just something to bear in mind. But like, this is breathtaking, to be honest, the detail that they've captured in here. You know, there's the flare ports there. Again, all that detail. You just you won't get this detail as fine in plastic, but you could get it with a multimedia kit. And here I'm just sort of showing the tail plane here, how thin it is, how in scale everything is. And the main deal with this is it's removing the parts from these trees. This one I've already taken off the sidewalls so I can give you a better view of them, but they tend to come, let's get a good example here. These are the wings, and you can just basically snap this stuff out the way to start the process of removal, yeah? And again, here, like the wings have got the pylons molded on them, so there's no, there's nothing to worry about in terms of alignment. And also they've got some plug butt joints there, it seems, to join on the ECM parts or on the external part of the wing. Let me just sort of show you what it looks like on the box art. So that part there. But is there a similar plug joint to connect onto the fuselage? And that is something that I'll come across when I'm actually building the thing, I guess, because they get joined on, yeah, just about here. It looks like so. Now, I read all I follow, of course, like I'm in Russia, so I follow all the social media here about this kit. And one thing that they claimed was that you could actually just remove the trees just by using your fingers, yeah? And I'm sort of doing that a little bit, but I don't know. I don't feel comfortable doing it. Imagine something does go wrong. But there you can see, actually, there is a good plug joint there. So you're going to get the wing alignment should be fairly straightforward. You could even you could probably improve that as well with some rod if you wanted to. But what you'll find is this of course is hollow. Yeah, this is printed hollow. And that's the reason that they're able to do this, to produce this kit in one big piece. Previously, you could pour something like this in resin, but because it's a big piece and because of the chemical reaction produces heat when you make that resin, what would happen is you pour it and you take out the mold and the thing would warp over time because it's just too big, and also it would weigh like a fair whack, it would weigh a lot because it would be solid, yeah? You would not be able to pour it hollow. You'd be able to pour it in two halves, but this 3D printing technology gives us this amazing option to produce these really big detailed parts. So it's really impressive, yeah. It blows away the detail on my previous 3D printed kit. There's no, what do they call it? Artifacting? I've forgotten the term, but there's no traces of the printing. There's no print lines at all evident. There's just detail, abundant detail everywhere, yeah? And you see, if I take all this off, you'll see that the portion where the cabin is, that is actually hollow, yeah? So you fill in detail in there. I'll just show you some juicy parts. Obviously, we're looking at the swash plates for the rotor and the rotor head masts and the landing gear. And of course, you can see that all the cables, all the detail molded on. And again, you just need to be super careful when removing the trees or the support structures from the resin parts. Yeah, but mind-blowing detail. The instructions tell you that the rotor blade can just be placed on top loosely to save space. This is the canopy framing. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. This looks like engine exhausts here, and I got some upgrades to improve that. I'll just show you that as well in a second. Actually, I'll show you right now. These were, like, we call them doppellinie, which is like, you know, extras, yeah. And these are the heat deflectors. And look at the fins. They are just so thin. Everything in just amazing detail, really. I mean, the detail is just like fantastic. And that's what I'm talking about here, these parts here, these heat deflectors. So these were options, yeah. It's kind of weird, this base kit. You get the base kit. The base kit's very inexpensive, actually. With the discount I had, it was only 2,500 rubles, which would be like $25 nowadays. It used to be about $50, but the rubles changed now. Here are the rotor blades. Nothing really special to speak of, except, of course, what we need to do is leave these in the sunlight, or if you're a 3D printer, you'll have a UV light. You want to make sure that before you remove these from the protection, that these are set, because they actually gave you an option. You could buy the blades. Well, when you buy the kit, you get the blades in the rested position. Of course, under their own weight, they sag, yeah? You could also buy a aircraft in flight, yeah, where you would get the blades under load, so they'd be the reverse, yeah? But these need to be set up great. I saw one build of this where he hadn't allowed these parts to cure in the sunlight. That was the instructions say that. And subsequently they all warped. They actually became like it looked like a wavy pattern. Honestly, it was so bad. Anyways, this is intimidating. The detail is so fine here. I mean, it's like hairline detail. Look at the actual wipers. I should get some sort of pointer here. Let me get a pointer instead. Look at the wipers. They are so fine, so delicate. And of course, again, we need to be really super careful that we don't break these parts when it comes on to, well, construction, as I said, and also just handling the model. I mean, these parts have me genuinely worried, and I think in some cases, I think these are actual access steps here, and it may be well just ignoring. I mean, they've obviously gone to great lengths here to get this in scale, but maybe replace it with wire and go a little bit out of scale just to have some strength, because I mean, you would breathe on it and basically the thing would snap off, wouldn't it? I mean, incredible. I've seen these details before. That the company that produced this model, they're obviously they're a big internet hobby shop in Russia, yeah. And I've used these sort of details. They come as extras on pre-orders, so I'm pretty familiar with this sort of stuff. But it doesn't make it any easier when it comes to the actual build, because the parts, in some cases, these are going to be like butt joined on. So you're going to butt join them on with super glue, and like I said, they're so delicate, amazingly delicate. And again here, further small parts. When I saw people build this, I thought that there was actually some photo etch included, because I saw these grills that cover parts of the engine, these sort of ones up here. And I saw these grills and I thought, oh, they must have some, there they are, those ones there. Thought, oh, there must be some photo etch. Nope, there's no photo etch whatsoever. With the 3D printing, you can print as thin as 3D, as photo etch brass rather. So all that they do is produce them, and they actually have these tiny little holes to make them a grill. And again, super fine detail everywhere, yeah? You just have to take masses of care when it comes to the build. In terms of the cockpit detailing, and again, this is pretty common here with the kits that I buy. Here you get the Quinta upgrades, and I got two sets. This is what came with the base kit, which is of course the instrumentation for the pilot and gunner, which is just wonderful, yeah, every time. So you get that as part of the base kit. You also have, let me see if I get the right part. You've got the option as well. I'm so glad that they did this. If you don't want to use the 3D printed stuff, you've got the rendered detail here, not showing you correctly there, which allows you to paint this. And also they provide this part again, but blank, so you don't need to shave off all the detail, yeah? You do need to shave off detail on here and on here to fit on the console detail, but that's just sanding off, so it's, you know, no biggie, no biggie. In terms of the base kit as well, it does not come with any weapons or water stickers, yeah, so you had to get these separately. So there's a couple of marking options that you've got, and there's like camouflage aircraft, a single coloured, like we call it baclajan, that really strange bluey grey colour, and another version I've forgotten, but I'll probably put up some photos for you to show you the options. But that's it, a couple of options in terms of the decals, but no painting instructions. You need to research that yourself. And also this as well is the technical stencils. This also had to be purchased separately. I'm not talking a lot of money. I'm talking about, well, about $2.50, yeah, for the stuff. When you add all this stuff together, it does not come to a lot of money. In fact, a Hasegawa kit would be much more expensive than this amazing 3D printed model. And this was optional parts, optional Quinta upgrade set. And here we have detail to add to the pilot and gunner's seating, you know, like his the harness, the ejection pull handle, etc. And also this is really nice. This is the det cord to blow out the panels from the canopy, because this aircraft you can actually eject from. It does have ejection seats that in sequence blow off the blades, blow up blow out the perspex for the canopy, and then the seats follow. There was quite a few options for pilot figures. You had seated pilots, etc. And I chose these guys in action. Thought they looked kind of interesting. Look pretty good. I'll paint them up. They should look pretty good with the aircraft. Weapons. And let me show you first of all what you get supplied in the kit, if I can find it. Okay, here's the supplied 30mm cannon with the barrel attached. And obviously this thing sort of hangs external. It doesn't. It's sort of very similar to how the Apache is, but it's side mounted on to the aircraft. You've got all the cabling, all the conduits, all that detail is supplied on there. Really impressive little print here. And then as an upgrade, I bought the, and it's probably unnecessary, I bought the brass barrel replacement, which will mean that I need to drill through. Hopefully there's enough purchase in there. Hopefully the length gives me, yeah, it gives me, well, it's not very good actually. Let's see, maybe I've got about 2mm to bore into there, and then I need to get the thing straight. Not ideal, I wish I was a little bit longer, but we'll sort that out. Anyways, that was an optional part, just went for it because it was so cheap. It was like $1.50 for the brass barrel. Now, because it's 3D printed, how do you do the transparent detail? So this is what they call ENN, which is like the gunner's sight, basically, the HUD display for the pilot. This is 3D printed transparent resin, and it's, as you can see, it's not really massively transparent. It's a little bit sort of foggy, not crystal clear. It doesn't look like a styrene equivalent, yeah, but it's okay for the gunner sight. Yeah, it's fine for that. So how do they do the canopy perspex? Well, they've actually, what they've done is, and this is probably the only way they could have done it, they've used vacuum forming. So you've got this stuff to deal with. So you need to cut this out, and I think this is a little bit disappointing. This part obviously is cheap to vacuum form, yeah, but you've only got one chance with this. So if you make a mess of it, yeah, you're gonna have to crawl back to them and ask for the spare part. Hopefully it goes right. The procedure will involve obviously cutting out the patterns. That should be pretty easy. Cutting out the pattern is going to be fairly straightforward. What has me concerned is this, yeah. The clear part goes inside the main frame here, and of course the cabin doors here and here. So it actually lays up inside the frame. Now, the only way to join it on is super glue. There's no other option. So I think I found, I'm going to test it. Yeah, I'll test with some scrap. I found some non-fogging super glue, and hopefully it works. Yeah, hopefully it works. But again, these are really, really thin, and that is, I think that's going to be that's going to be one of the challenges here, getting this right. You do not want your aircraft to be, to have unclear, transparent windows, etc. That would be just disappointing, yeah, in the end. So we'll pay a lot of attention on that. And as I said before, Mikhail, he covers how to do that, and I think he used a special sort of glue that he imported from China. It was a special sort of glue, another type of non-fogging super glue, I think. Anyways, you do get masks. These are supplied, internal and external masks on this material. It's not a paper tape, it's like a plasticized sort of fret material, but you've got inside internal and external masking and that's included within the kit itself. You get some little magnets as well. You get some magnets because you can magnetize the weapons fitment. Weapons, really not that much to show you. I got, as I said, these again. The kit itself does not come with any weapons whatsoever. You need to buy them all as extra. There's loads of options: fuel tanks, bombs, all sorts. I went for infamous Vickers anti-tank guided missiles, ×6 and ×6, so 12 off. Mounted on the pylons, and also I think I got some set of Igla as well, which is these smaller anti-tank missiles as well, so I can maybe change around, maybe get some more weapons again. These were cheap, like I think about $5 basically for weapon sets. And the other upgrade I got was, if you know anything about attack helicopters, they've got the sensors are very, very important to the to how the aircraft operates. And this is an upgraded part that I'll try and show you a good shot. Well, this isn't the best shot, okay. This is what's supplied in the kit. You get this with the visor protection down on the on this sighting unit, yeah. So you get that inside the kit. Let me just show you where that is, which is that there. Actually, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm totally making a mistake here. Right, you get this, and I think the thing rotates all the way around to protect the optics. Yeah. So you have actually got detail there that you could paint in. It's difficult to show you, but this is more an upgraded part with better detail for the optics. But what's missing is, and I'll come to it when I do the build. Let me get this out so I can show you. Right. Okay, there we are. Right. This part here. The part here, this is the cover, yeah, but there would be a transparent sort of glass on top of that, so that is not depicted. So I'm going to use something like a gloss or white glue or something to do that, and then the actual instrumentation that's here, you can just see it inside there, that should have different sort of, you know, metallic blue, gold, etc. on those typical sensors. There's nothing supplied for that, so I'll scratch something there. But that is basically the kit. Is any, well, of course I have missed out a big point here, which is the instructions. I'm going to just show you the instructions. They're not going to mean anything to you unless you speak and understand Russian, but they did them quite professionally. But what they do, it's just a series of steps, you know, what to do that. And there's some paint call outs here, but they aren't technical paint call outs. You just say like blue, yellow, grey, you know, they haven't got the like a reference, which is, well, I don't know, for a small kit like this, probably expected. I really like the illustrations that they've used in here, and they actually have the call outs as well for what instrumentation is. So that's a GOES 451 plus Opera. Yeah, that's the system. That's the what we're talking about before, the sighting optics and sensors. Yeah, so they've got all of these instructions in here, and they look really pretty, but they're just basically just telling you what to do, you know. And there's not really that many parts. Here is the option as well. There's the option, of course, to pose the canopy open or closed. Obviously you want to have it open, you know, show off that detail. And the other thing that they did not include whatsoever is, or did I mention this, the painting schemes. There's no painting schemes included. You need to research that yourself on the internet, but they have. I've got this wonderful picture, that's number 85, and sadly that aircraft is not included within the decal set, so that's a bit of a pity as well. Is this one? This one's unmarked, actually. Really like that camo though, it looks really nice, those browns and greens, really attractive. So that is the review of this 3D printed kit, but I'm going to go on to something now. I've sort of mentioned it, right? What would really be ideal, and I believe there is news that a company are going to produce a 48 scale KA-52 in plastic. Why is that preferential? Well, for me, I prefer the process of building plastic. With super gluing parts on, it's just not as satisfying. There's a lot of advantages for styrene construction. The way that the parts melt together. When you make the joins with super glue, you've got quite a, you know, it's a strong but also a fragile joint because it has no, it's got no resistance to certain loading. Yeah, if you're sharp, like you add a sharp force onto something that's attached by super glue, you know that it will shear straight off. Yeah. Would I sacrifice detail for construction ease? That's a difficult question to answer, isn't it? I mean, the thing is that they've gone to great depth here to give you all this de facto helicopter detailing. But if you have a look at my review of the Mi-8 that Zvezda did, they've done an absolutely amazing job of upping their game and creating the sort of stereotype riveting, paneling, fish plating, all that stuff that you get on helicopters. So, but for me, and let's hopefully this project works out successfully. It's going to be a really, really nice aircraft to have in the collection, and it'll be really interesting to see if that future kit does come out in plastic. I think that's what people would definitely prefer. Interesting tidbit is that ARMA have released a second aircraft in resin. They've released, it's not by them, they've actually used another company, SARMA I think it is. They produced a 172 scale, Checkmate, the 5th gen, not the Su-57, but another 5th gen aircraft in 72 scale, but really doesn't have, I'm not attracted to it. I'll just put it that way, okay? So I need to build this and hopefully have fun with it. When I spoke to the guys at the shop, they have plans to produce this in different scale, 35th or 32 I think they said, and possibly 72. I think in 35th this would be absolutely amazing, but the thing is how much it would cost. I think I would buy one in 35th, because then these really, really small details, I mean, they're still going to be small on 35th scale, don't get me wrong, they'll become just a little bit more manageable. That is my conclusion anyways. So that is it. If you can, please don't ask me how you can get your hands on one. I don't sell them, and I'm not going to act as anybody's courier, but I think there might be ways that you can get one. And let's get building. And like I said, if you're interested in the sort of talking explanation points, join us on Patreon. I make videos for everybody, explanations, answer questions. It's all about the people that are contributing to our community there, that really make it what it is. And hopefully this was of some use to you guys. And until then, see you on the next one.